Hey, 8th graders. So, in the Try It today, we were trying to write an equation that could be used to represent the situation. And the situation was that Arturo was making a swag bag. Total value of the item was, items in the bag were $15, and he wants to include at least one of each item shown. And then we had this. And then it said write an equation that could be used to represent the situation. Remember to define your variables. And so the reason I go back through that is if you were to read the next page, it kind of talks about how we can define things, right? We can talk about that the total bag is $15 and we know the values of pens is 0.5 or 0.50 cents each. And we have $2 each and $10 each. And then from there we could continue it out, or we can analyze it and just, okay, these are the variables, so this is how I know my variables. These are my fixed quantities, and then from there we're going to write our expression. So it's important that we define variables in the fact that if we don't define them, then someone else who comes around and looks at it will go, well, what is P, N, and B if they don't know all the information? So they used B in class today. The example we had up on the board, a student came up with E, but the student came up with the correct equation. So an equation that represents the value of items in the swag bag. Can we write that same equation in algebraic form? So the equation the student came up with was the fact that it was 50 cents for each pen, so 0.5p. plus the $2 per notepad, and they were using N for notepad, and then $10 for each earbud case, and so they called that E because of earbud. If you want to call it B because of cases, or the fact that down here has B for earbuds, that's up to you. I am going to switch just so that it's cohesive down the page. And that total of the bag is going to be $15. So that's what we came up with, number one. Number two says explain why P, N, and B are all greater than 0, and why those are constraints for the equation we wrote in problem 1. And the reason is because Arturo, let's see if I can spell his name, Arturo wants at least one of each item. So it has to be greater than 0. Can't be equal to 0 because we want one of each item, at least. Okay, so 3 asks, well, he wants to change the swag bag so there's at least 2 of each item in the bag. What would our constraints be for this situation? And so we talked about that there's 2 ways we could write it. We could say that P is greater than 1, or P, N, and B or E are greater than 1. Oops, and then I went and put 0. Greater than 1. But the other way we could write it is because we want at least 2 items, we could P is greater than or equal to 2. N is greater than or equal to 2, and B is greater than or equal to 2. That would be another way we could write it. Both ways are correct. And then it says, is it possible for Arturo to make this change and keep the class's swag bag equal to $15? And what we talked about in class was no. Because 2 earbud cases would cost $20 in themselves. So he can't keep it at 15. Question 4, Arturo decides to put 2 notepads in the swag bag. How does this change the quantities? How does this change the equation you wrote in problem 1? So, how does this change the quantities? The 2 notepads is now no longer a variable, right? So, N is no longer a variable. It is a fixed quantity. And so then we had students say, so 2n is going to become 4. or not equal 4, but 2n will become 2 times 2, which is 4. So when we write the new equation, it would be 0.5p plus 4 plus 10b equals 15. And so that's how it changes our equation. Because we know. The other way we could look at this is that this is going to become 0.5p plus 10p equals 11. Because these two, not 10p, 10b, I'm struggling today, 10b would equal 11 because I can subtract the 4 over. And so both of these would be equations that we could write. And then question 5 asks, why is it useful to write an equation with variables to represent some real-world situations? It kind of just gives us this ability to write it in shorthand, right? Like, I could write 0.5 per pencil plus 4 plus $10 per earbuds case equals 15. We could write it that way, but it's going, like, it gives us a more simplified version. It's a shorthand way of writing it, and then it also allows us to continuously change, like, these variables, and I can manipulate the equation to what I need. All right, so then when we turn the page, and we were talking about these, and then probably got a little bit confused because we're going through them pretty fast, but let's talk about this. So, Ayana spends, try not to make it all blurry. Ayana spends the day at a park. She swims, hikes, eats lunch, and bikes. It takes Ayana half an hour to eat lunch at the park. She hikes twice as long as she bikes. She swims for 1.5 hours. Which quantities could be represented by a variable term? So that means which of these are unknown. So the way we talked about this in class art, well, let's go ahead and take out the ones we know. So we know she takes half an hour to eat. So eat lunch is not a variable, right? And that she hikes twice as long as she bikes, but I don't know how long she bikes, so I don't know how long she hiked. She swims for 1.5 hours, right? So swimming is off the variable list, and then that's what we know. So number of hours Ayana is at the park, don't know, right? So that would be a variable. Number of hours she eats lunch, we do know that one, right? That was one of them that we can fill in, half an hour to eat lunch. Number of hours she takes to hike, don't know that one. Number of hours she takes to bike, don't know that one. Number of hours she takes swimming, we do know that one. Like, she swam for 1.5 hours. So then A, C, and D would be the ones that we don't know. Those are our variables. Now, let's talk about 7. In the pattern below, step 1 has 5 squares. So I would go ahead and write. We know there are 5 squares here. Step 2 has 9 squares. So I know that there are 9 squares. And step 3 has 13 squares. And so from here, I am going to go through and just figure out an equation knowing that t is our number of squares, so that's what we're going to equal. We're going to have t equals and then fill in the blank steps in N of this pattern. Now, what I didn't do on the board and probably should have done, one way we could organize this is a table, right? That for step N, we have how many t. So for step N, so step 1, we had 5t. For step 2, we had 9t. And for step 3, we had 13. So from there, it's just figuring out how are these related and how can I get to that answer using this kind of like my x and then this is my y. Okay, but we are calling them n and t. So step 1, I have 5. When I go from 5 to, or from step 1 to step 2, right, we've increased by 4. And when I go from 9 to 13 or 2 to 3, we've increased by 4. So I can logically say that at step 4, I'm at 17 squares. So then the question becomes, well, how do I figure that out? So there's multiple ways we can go about this. Okay, I can say, like here, we had 4 of them plus 1, right? Here we added another 4 because this is the same. And so there are multiple ways we can go about this. But, oh, I put +1. I wanted +4 there. Silly Mrs. Cartwright. But when we look at it, we can say, well, I can take 1 times 4 and then add 1 and I get 5. I can take 2 times 4, which is 8, add 1 and I get 9. 3 times 4 is 12, add 1, I get 13. 4 times 4 is 16, add 1, I get 17. So we came up in class with 4n plus 1. And then I told you that there are other ways. So we could do that t is 4 times n minus 1. So if I took step 1 and I subtracted 1 from it, so I'd have 0, and then take that times 4, but then I'd have to add 5, right? Because 0 times 4 is 0, plus 5, I get the 5. If I do 2, 2 minus 1 is, 2 minus 1 is 1, times 4 is 4, plus 5 is 9, right? So that's getting us to these same places. And the other one that we could go about doing is, what if I thought of it as n plus 1, right? And then I would have 4 times n plus 1. So if I plug 1 in here, 1 plus 1 is 2, times 4 is 8. I would have to subtract 3 to get to 5, but let's try it if it works for the other one. 2 plus 1 is 3, times 4 is 12, minus 3 is 9. So this would be one of those other ones we could use, and I put it up here for you so that you know they exist. We came up with this one in class, okay? But these other ways of going about it, like if we could have logicked to that, it would have been just fine. Okay, 8, we're writing an equation that models the situation. So we knew that it was a total of 39 hours. We knew she did cornrows for 3 clients and box braids for 4 clients. And then it tells us that the box braids, we're going to call them BB for box braids, take 250% of the time of cornrows. So 250% as a decimal is 2.5 because we would move our decimal in twice, so that is going to be helpful at some point. What we talked about in class was we said, okay, well, we know 3 cornrows plus 4 box braids is going to equal 39 hours. And we all got there and we were like, yes, that makes sense. And then we were trying to do it in just terms of C. So to do it in just terms of C, I've got to change my B in terms of C. But I know that B is 2.5 more than C. So I'm going to keep my 3C. That didn't change. But I'm going to take 4 times 2.5 times C. Because whatever it takes for cornrows, it's going to take 2.5 times longer. And then that would equal our 39. So then that was the equation we found out, just so we use one variable. And it says, what constraints are there on this situation? Well, I mean, C represents time. So C has to be greater than 0. We cannot be less than 0. It is going to take time. And then the total time is 39 hours. So like fixed quantity, the 39 hours. So we won't go beyond that. And so total time is 39 hours. That's a constraint. All right, that was the lesson. And yes, it's a lot. And we will get through this. So I will see you in class. Have a great one.